You've probably tried a lot of productivity apps and now you might be feeling slightly overwhelmed. So let's get back to basics, because I can assure you, you don't need more than 5 to achieve your goals. And the best part is that you already have all of them, or almost all of them, on your phone. First things first, you need to make some space in your head, and for that, you will probably need a brain dump or the Notes app. I personally put everything in this app, ranging from shopping lists to some creative ideas, even to occasional journaling prompts. I try to be a bit more systematic with how I use it by leveraging headlines and hashtags, and you can easily search for similar topics by using this too. However, there's still room for improvement, and honestly a huge room for improvement, as my Notes app is usually very messy. But it doesn't really matter, it serves me well as is, and in any case, I use it mostly as the first step of planning, so I'll just dump whatever comes to my mind and then I will organize it afterwards. Lately, I also started using the native dictation function of the Notes app as part of my scripting process. I have this funny trait of mine that I cannot come up with creative ideas while seated. I have to stand up, or even better, I have to walk around, and that, I guess, stimulates the creative flow in my head. As you can imagine, it's rather inconvenient to write on my laptop while walking, or even on my phone. I'm really not good at that. So I thought to leverage the what should not be named and use it as part of brainstorming. Once I'm done with the brainstorm, I just structure my unstructured thoughts. I organize them into groups, I look for keywords, and then I try to create the first draft out of this chaos. So if you're also engaged in some sort of creative work, you can give it a try as well. While we are on the topic of using the Notes app, I should probably mention that there is absolutely no need to perfect the system that already works well. So don't get lost in the weeds by trying to optimize how you structure your notes or making a repository of everything. The whole point of this exercise is to make some space right here so you can think clearly and decide what to focus on. I believe that the world should always stay in balance, and now that we've covered the chaos part, or the brain dump, we should move on to order. In my case, it would be using the calendar app for calendar blocking. As I mentioned in one of my previous videos, I like to use calendar blocking to get some visualization of how I use my time and how much I achieved during the day. If you're strongly against calendar blocking, you can still use the calendar app to keep track of your to-do lists. You can also use a regular notepad for this, but since this video is about phone apps, we're not gonna cover that part. When it comes to calendar blocking, I do not fill every minute of my time with tasks, even during the week. I definitely don't live by the rule that states that you should put everything in your calendar, including your lunch break and the time spent with your significant other. I simply find it unproductive and anxiety-inducing. That's why you will never see my calendar blocked from 8 AM to 9 PM. Also, I'm just being honest with myself and admitting that I wouldn't be able to sustain such a pace. What I do instead is I mark deadline-sensitive or time-sensitive tasks only. So let's say that among my work tasks, I have an article to write, a bunch of emails to read, and some research to do for the editorial plan. Out of these 3, I will only block some calendar in my time for the article because it's deadline sensitive and it usually requires a lot of focus, so it's much easier to get it done by dedicating significant chunks of time for it. And then the rest, so these other 2 tasks, They are more filler tasks. I know that I will complete them during the week, but I also know that it would be much easier for me to spread them throughout the week and decide when to work on them based on my energy levels. Of course, I will still have them as part of my to-do list for the week, probably in my notes app, and I might even make myself a small note on Friday so that I remember to complete them, but I wouldn't dedicate any particular time for them during the week. So my suggestion for you is to block time in your calendar only for the most important tasks. Everything else will naturally follow. The next step on our list we can call a friendly push, or the notifications app. Who doesn't suck at life admin? I mean, I guess some people don't mind it, but I'm one of the less fortunate ones. The use case should be pretty clear here. Since the main issue with live admin is rarely our capacity to memorize the tasks, but usually our resistance towards completing them, we should use the biggest human weakness against ourselves, which is the desire to look at notifications once we receive them. If you want to complete these live admin tasks or any other task faster, I would suggest to schedule yourself a notification with it. When you receive it, it will most likely be pending on your lock screen until you actually complete the task. Since our curiosity tends to take the best of us and we usually look at our lock screen quite often, you will be reminded of this unfinished task quite often, which will prompt you to complete it in time or even earlier than you expected. Use this notifications app as a friendly push. There is another use case for the notifications app that might be useful in your productivity routine. So, I lately started using notifications to remind myself of affirmations. I'm personally aware that I'm prone to anxiety, or more like anxiousness, and sensitivity. And since I'm a grown-up and I know that the world is not going to change its ways to please me and I have to be the one to change my ways, I'm constantly on the lookout for tools that will help me stay grounded. And affirmations is one of these tools. They really help me maintain a certain mindset, especially during the long winter months. But unfortunately, I don't have time or patience to go through them in the morning. So what I do, I schedule one affirmation per day for a certain time, and then when the bell rings and I look at my phone, voila, I have an affirmation. And then I can keep it for the rest of the day or close it immediately. The pro tip here is to schedule 7 different affirmations for each day of the week. So they have to be on the same topic, but the wording should be somewhat different so that you get some variety, but you can still build up a certain mindset. I guess the best way to sum it up would be use the notifications app as an accountability partner who pushes you to complete the tasks you ought to complete and reminds you of how great life is. Now, this is the only app that is not part of the native app stack on your phone, but it is so good that I can't imagine my life without it anymore. And since I started using it, I've been recommending it to everyone I know. And it is screenzen. And here I should probably mention that this video or this part of the video is not sponsored by anyone. I mean, I would love to, but it is not. Anyway, what it allows you to do is to simply block some apps or website pages, or even the overall screen time once it reaches a certain limit. You've probably heard of similar apps before. I personally have heard of OneSec, but OneSec requires a paid subscription, and even with that, you don't get the full functionality. screenzen has a lot of functionalities for free, and to be honest, I'm not even sure if they have a paid subscription. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I haven't explored that option. And yes, if you don't like this particular app, you can easily find similar ones either on Google or Reddit. So how the app works? You can choose the distractor apps that you would like to block for a certain period of time. Then you choose how much time you can spend on these apps, how many times per day you can go on these apps, what is the post time, what is the post message. So it's highly customizable and you can adjust it based on your own needs. I know that it can go even further. So for example, you can increase the post time with each day or each new turn on the app. You can also make the app block your entire phone after your screen time reaches a certain limit. Also, the cool thing is that screenzen blocks both apps and website versions of it, so there is really no escape from the app blocker unless you use a different gadget that doesn't have it. So you can use it the way I do to decrease your overall dependence on social media or any other apps, or you can use it to boost your productivity during the work week by limiting the time you spend on the distractor apps. Finally, the health app. Now you might ask me,
what does health to do with productivity?
I know, I get it, but realistically speaking, what does health not have to do with productivity? I am a huge proponent of a realistic take on productivity, and I find it ridiculous or even dangerous at times to try and squeeze energy out of yourself when you don't have much to begin with. Because, truth to be told, we're not always fully recharged or mentally well to be able to focus 100% on our goals. So, tracking relevant health metrics gives you an opportunity to manage your resources well. And on the days when you do have a full battery, you can do more. The way I approach it, I track my cycle in the health app because for the next 20 to 30 years, it will dictate how much energy I have on each and every day. And then on the side, I check the other app that's connected to my sports watch to see how much sleep I get per day and what my stress levels are. You don't have to do that much, just focus on the metrics that make the most sense for you. And you definitely don't need a separate app for it. I know that most native apps are very good at giving you the more or less accurate information. You can definitely keep track of your sleep. You can keep track of your activity levels by calculating how many steps a day you take or how much energy you burn. I know that many of these apps, at least the iPhone app, allows you now to track your mood as well. So one app is definitely more than enough. And this is it. These 5 apps will be able to help you cover the whole productivity cycle. And even more so, if you're only starting with your productivity routine, or if you've been overwhelmed with all the world has to offer on this topic, I would suggest you to stick to the first 2, so the Notes app and the Calendar app. And they will be able to help you take care of the 70% of your productivity routine. Once you're comfortable with that, you can add on more, but 5 are more than enough. And I would like to remind you that productivity should never be the goal in itself. It's only a supporting system that helps us do more with less and therefore get our time back. So take it easy, take good care, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.